Okay, I'm going to show you a quick video on how to convert your data from a Auto Ingenuity session into a chart. A lot of people have an issue with that, and this is a pretty easy way to do it, and really just learning Excel on how to use it is how everybody gets along. So it works out. It's just something that uh, really, it's not that hard to do. Just you need to be pointed the way. So I'm going to try to show you a way I do it. So what I've done is I've opened up my data chart. Our data from Excel is what I use. You can use Excel or OpenOffice, either one. The files do open up in a .csv, which is a comma separated value file. Just how they name it. It doesn't have quite the capabilities of a .xls file, so we're going to go ahead and convert that to an XLS. So the first thing you do is you go up to the File tab, click on that, Save As. In Excel it opens up, shows you it's a comma separated value where you're saving it at. Come in here, I'm going to scroll up to here. Very top one is Excel Workbook. I'm using 2007-2010 version. If you need 97 or 2003, it's just a .xls, not a .xlsx, which is 10. So go ahead and click on that, and then I'm going to hit save. So now it's saved as a XLS file. So easy way to do things here is all this data kind of messy, don't know what to really say. You can kind of look at it individually and see what stuff is, but it's not quite so easy to tell. So the way to do it is get it visual to where you can see it and put it in a chart. That's the great thing about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. As you can see, you can't see any of the names. If I click on the box, then you can see what the name is in the box, but it's kind of hard to see that. So what I'm going to do is I just click over here, come down here, open the box up. That gives it lots of room. Now what I'm going to do is come over here on the one, and you can see where it's turning yellow. I'll just left click in there, and it highlights that whole column or row. Then I'll right click, and then come down to format the cells. In here, I'm going to left click on the alignment tab, click on that, and then text control, you want to wrap the text, and what that's going to do is instead of making that one long line, it's going to wrap the text and stack it. So now you can see it's stacked it in these boxes, so it's a little bit more easier to read. You will have areas where long words like temperature get cut off. If you really want to make them full length, just come up here between the H and the I and just kind of drag it out until it looks right. Again, really doesn't matter that much. It's all what you just really are used to seeing. So now I've just clicked anywhere out of there, so it unhighlights that row, and now you're working on individual cells. You will see that there's time on each one of them. Basically, it's measuring the time that this measurements was taken. So if you want to see what it looks like, there it's 0.997. On this one, it's 0.213. So this one was taken before this one, and then this one, and this one, and so on. Somewhere you'll get empty file boxes like this. What I always do is I just highlight a couple of the rows, and what I do by doing that is I just click on the 2, and it highlights that row again, right? So if you click on the 2 and hold your mouse button down and come down, say 3 rows, it highlights all 3 rows. Now I've let go of my mouse button, they're highlighted. And then what I like to do is I right click and then delete. What it does, deletes all that data and moves everything up so it's more readable. Scroll down, same thing, I have some data down here that's missing, I'll do the same thing. Left click, hold it, down, highlights the 3 rows, right click, and delete. Now my data is cleaned up, all my numbers at least have the same amounts for each column and row. So what we're going to do is we're going to do injector control pressure. I'm going to click on the B, highlights that column. I'm going to hold the control button down, click on the D, and I'm going to hold the control button down still and click on F. Now my chart will give me pressure, duty cycle, and pulse width. Now come up here to the Insert tab, click on that, and your charts are right here. You can choose any one of the charts you want. Line chart's the easiest one to compare data usually. Click on that, left click, come down. You have different styles of charts, stacked, stacked line, or just a trend line. So this is the one I like to use. Left click on that, builds your chart right in your full file. You can click this and move it around if you want. But what I like to do is I like to move it to its own separate page, makes the chart full size. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to, you can either right click, or if you're using 2007, 2010, you can come up here to move chart. Like I said, right click, move chart, or just go up here to move chart. We're going to put it in a new sheet, and I'm going to call it ICP, IPR, duty cycle, and fuel injector pulse width. Click OK. Now what it's done is down here you have your data tab, and down here you have your chart. If you want to move either way around, you just left click and hold this. As you can see, as I move it, the little arrow goes up there. Now I moved it. Now the data's first and the chart's second. So now your chart's scrunched to the left. You have your readings over here. Not very easy to read sometimes. So come up here into the chart layout. I like layout number 3, works the best for me. Now your data comes across. Your chart title, click on that. Call it ICP, IPR, duty cycle, and fuel injection pulse width. Click the enter key. Now your chart's titled. Now you have all your data, but it's trying to read all off of this side over here, this axis. So you can see, because it goes to 3000, which is PSI in this case, pulse width and duty cycle are just buried down there, not really readable. So what I do is hold the control button down, and if your mouse has a wheel on it to scroll it forward, and each time you scroll forward, the chart gets bigger. Now I've let go of the control button, I'm going to scroll down, and now you can see your data down here. So we know duty cycle is the red line, so I'm going to go ahead and click up here on just where my mouse is on there, and I'm going to click on there. And that's a left click. Now you see I have highlighted boxes. Now while those are highlighted, I can right click and format the data series. So what I'm going to do is, remember I told you this is an axis over here. I'm going to add a secondary axis, which is going to put it on this side. So I'm going to click that, and now that data moves up there. Makes it a lot more easy to read. Same thing, this one, I'm going to right click it, format data, secondary axis, OK. So now I'm going to take my control button, roll my mouse wheel backwards one more time, and now you can see that I have my data, which is the injector control pressure, the blue line, my duty cycle, the red line, and my fuel injector pulse width, the green line, is a little bit more readable. Now the reason pulse width is way down is because it's only going between 0 and 5, and duty cycle is going from the low of duty cycle looks to be about 10.5, so right above the 10 line, and the high of duty cycle is going up here to 47.26. So the axis automatically scales to what the numbers are. You can change these. I'll go into that on a different video just to keep these short, but this is pretty much how you do your data. Now you can see your pulse width is the spikes and peaks and valleys in your pulse width usually match the peaks and valleys in your ICP and your duty cycle. The one good thing about looking at the chart this way, you can see my ICP and my duty cycle match pretty closely as far as the peaks and valleys. That tells you that as you ask for demand, you're getting the demand, and the pressure holds. If you had a weak pump, or you had maybe a bad IPR, what you could find out is that your pressure would be lower and your duty cycle would be higher. So say you'd see like 70 or 80% duty cycle, maybe you're only seeing peaks on your pump of 2000 psi, 1700 instead of 25, 27, 3000. So that's pretty much how to build the chart, so you can see a nice indication of how everything is working. It's just something you'll have to figure out to figure which data to use to compare, and that's one thing that's important. But along with the FTE website with, on the 7.3 forum. Pretty much everybody on there will tell you what you need to be looking at, so that will give you a good idea. And then you can share this data. You can save it as a picture, or you can as a PDF, and then you can post it on the forums too. That way everybody can see it too. All right, there you have it. Thanks.